Good morning, members Garrett and Vollendroff, staff and guests. The lobbies are open and the recording has begun.
Thank you, Gretchen. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Board Caucus for Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024. We have a fairly full agenda this morning, and so we will kick it right off. We're joined first on the agenda today by our Human Resources Director, Anita Bingham, and Anita is here to give us our quarterly Human Resources update. So, Anita, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, and Gretchen, if you're able to get the PowerPoint showing, I don't know if it is, I'm not seeing it, so.
You guys here see that?
There it is.
We can see it.
All right, well, thank you, and I hope everyone had a nice holiday. I'm fighting a cold, so I hope I don't end up with a coughing fit, but keep a good
I'm
thought
glad we're remote. I'm glad we're remote then.
I know, right? Keep my germs to myself now. All right, so today we're going to talk about our survey responses from the Getting Comfortable Being Uncomfortable training that we all went through recently. We're going to look at the core training updates, appointments and separations, and then where we are with our tuition and wellness reimbursements. So we had 302 staff attend the training, and we had 4 sessions. So we had about 40 people in Moses Lake, and 16 of those responded with a survey result. 29 people in Mountain Lake Terrace, 8 of those responded. Our afternoon session in Olympia had 105, and we had 49 responses from that, and 128, which was a very large group, in our AM session, and we had 60 responses from that.
Nice. Anita, can you just give a 2-minute or just a quick overview of what the training was about, just for people who aren't aware?
Sure. The training was designed basically to challenge employees to have difficult conversations and to know how to respond when they were kind of in the midst of hearing something that they felt warranted kind of speaking up to, I guess. Were you able to, you didn't attend, Jim?
No, I was not able to attend.
Oh, okay. So we did a lot of role playing as the trainer brought different scenarios of real life areas where discrimination had occurred in conversations. And we actually kind of did some speed conversations with each other, lined up, across from each other, read a scenario, and then kind of practiced how would we respond to those kinds of situations, and then kind of rotated through different partners. So
Great.
it was quite interactive, and I think really the time went by fast because the combination of the interaction and the in-person lecture was I think a really nice balance for people.
Yeah, I heard really good things about it. And one of the reasons that I asked that you give a quick description is not so much for me, because I kind of pretty much did know what it was about, but it's for some people who are watching or who may be listening in today who are not part of the LCB and just, wondering what the training was all about. So I appreciate that update.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so Gretchen, if you want to move on. So the first question we asked was the training interactive and engaging? And over 95% of the people that responded were positive on that. So that was
Great.
good to see. The next question was the facilitator engaging and supportive. And there again, we had an overwhelming 71% of people that felt strongly that he was. And I personally thought he did a really great job of trying to connect with people and trying to make people participate while, feeling in a brave place. That was his thing. You can't guarantee a safe space, but we tried to have a brave space for people to engage. Question 3 was the content and the training and the materials sufficient? And 81% of people felt pretty strongly that it was. So I thought that was good. We did have, and Jim, you were part of this, our pair team and our diversity council met after we had this training, and we did a pretty thorough debrief about it. I think some people in those groups felt like it could have even gone deeper, or they wished we had more opportunity to spend more time doing some of the deeper dive on the role playing, but you can see from that overall people felt pretty good about it. And then question 4, did the instructor facilitate communication and engagement between the learners? And there again, 91% of the people felt that he did. So did you find the training material and examples inclusive to all backgrounds? And 81% of the people felt like he did. And then we just kind of had an open field for people to give comments or opinions about the training. I would say there was some mixed comments, as there always are with these kinds of trainings, but overwhelmingly people felt, I think, that it was valuable. I think if you're able to see the comments, I'm not sure if you are in the PowerPoint.
No.
Melissa, okay. Melissa put in some of the actual comments, so if you guys have an opportunity to look at that, you can see, get a flavor of what people said. But like I said, for the most part, I think it was well received. One thing that people did say, and I think was really a lesson learned for us, is that it was too many people in those Olympia sessions. It got way too loud when we were doing the role play. And I know for myself, I have hearing challenges, so it was hard for me. And other people said it was as well. So if we do something like that again in the future, we'll definitely take into consideration probably having more sessions so we can have a smaller number of people in each session. But that was something that really we learned after kind of experiencing how loud it got in there. Okay, moving on to our core training. We're still doing really well on that. Most people have watched the video. The numbers are kind of fluctuating as people come into the agency, getting into the modules. I'm told that there's a little bit of a delay now getting into module 1 if you're newly hired. So that might kind of account for a little bit of a drop there and that. But I think as people are able to get in that first module, then they're able to move through the rest of the modules pretty easily. So we're doing well with that.
Great.
And also doing really well with our IT security and our ethics training, even better than last year. I don't know if you remember, but I think it was July, they revamped the IT security training, and it made it new this year. It's much more updated. It's just funner to take. So I'm glad to see that we have such a high percentage on that. And according to DES, they're going to be looking at that every year. So when important changes need to happen with IT security, they're going to be able to update that. And so it won't get quite as stagnant as it had been in the past.
Great.
And then still doing well with our other core trainings. The reasonable suspicion, I think I'd mentioned in the past, moved to an online version rather than having for us to wait to put a class together. People can take it now as they're hired, so that's great. And as their research certification timeframe comes up, they're able to just log in and take the reasonable suspicion. I would say, since I've been here, we had never had an instance where supervisors had to get together and test an employee, but we recently did have a report of someone that people believed was under the influence. And so 2 trained supervisors got together and actually, used that training to perform that assessment with that person and determine that the person was not under the influence and didn't have to be sent for testing. But it was just a good reminder that, that can happen, and it's nice to have people be trained and be aware of the process. It also made us look at our lab locations to make sure that if we did need to send someone, from whatever area, that we know which lab is open and that they can go to. And so it all worked out fine in that case, but it's something new that hadn't happened since I've been with the agency, so wanted to mention it. Okay, so we're moving on to our appointments and separations for the third quarter, July through September. We had 9 hires in the third quarter. Next slide. And we had 13 people separate during that time period. And so the blue shows how many of those folks accepted an exit interview with HR. So you'll see there we had 5 people that were willing to meet with us and give us their experience of working at the LCB before they moved on. So that's going well. We're continuing to give that feedback, good and bad, to the appropriate people. And payroll updates. We're still continuing to do our tuition reimbursement. We paid out almost $17,000 so far this year, and we have a little over $16,000 still available through June of next year. We have 5 staff that are participating, so that's a nice benefit to them to be able to work on their degrees. And wellness reimbursements are going well. Year to date, we've paid out almost $70,000. We have 156 staff so far that are participating. We'll probably see that number jump up in December. Some people tend to wait, to the end of the year to submit their reimbursement. So we'll see if that changes much. But nice to see people are using that benefit while it's available to us. And then just wanted to let you know that of our 2 contracts, the coalition did ratify their contract, and we got a pretty good package with that. Now, granted, that still all has to be approved by the legislature and funded by them. And given the news of the budget, I'm hopeful that everything progresses as was negotiated. But you'll see that our officers are getting a pretty good range increase there for the LEO 2s and 3s. They're moving up to range 63 from range 56. And our LEO 4s, which are lieutenants, are getting a 3 range increase. And our LEO 1s coming in the door are coming in now at range 57, which is a 2 range increase. We have the ability now to do some recruitment and retention incentive payments for new folks, which hopefully will be a good draw to, bring people in. Excited about that, and they'll have to stay a period of time to reap the full benefits, but that's good. And then the one-time incentive that we have for our current folks that have been here 24 months will be a $4,000 retention bonus. So that was a nice thing to be able to negotiate on their behalf. And I give credit to Dawn Russell, our labor person, for attending all those bargaining sessions and making sure that all those details were hammered out. We're still waiting on the WPEA. We're back to the table with them because they didn't ratify their contract, which is something that's, I think, maybe the first time in state government, so highly unusual. And so we're kind of waiting to see what will happen with that, but probably more to come next report out. You all probably may have heard on the news that Inslee enacted a hiring freeze for state government beginning today. So we're waiting to get more details about that. We do know that our officers are exempt from that, so that's great. They won't be affected at all. But we're waiting to get some more kind of Q&A from state HR about what that's going to look like and how that will impact us, but we know that it will. So Will and Tony and I already met this morning to kind of just touch base on it and kind of work on a plan for it. So that's all I had. Was a pretty quick one this time, unless you all have questions.
I have no questions. Member Garrett, any questions?
I have no questions. Thank you for the update.
All right. Thank you both.
Yeah. Thank you, Anita. Appreciate your work and especially all the work on the contract negotiations with the E&E staff. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know I'm up next. I just gotta get the agenda up here on my phone real quick.
Policy and rules teams update.
All right. So Daniel Jacobs is going to give us an update on policy and rules. Thank you, Member Garrett.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Good morning, members Garrett and Volendroff. Yeah, I'm going to provide just a quick rules team update. Excuse me. So, and then I'll preview a couple of public hearings we've got tomorrow. But just sort of what's going on right now. So right now, we're hoping to get public feedback on 2 sets of cannabis related draft rules. One of them is on the minors on premises rulemaking, and the other one is on the cannabis waste rulemaking. Those went out via Gov Delivery a couple weeks ago, and the public comment period is open until this Friday, December 6th. And so if folks want to look at those draft rules and provide feedback, they can go to our rules webpage, find that at on the laws and rules webpage, and then email the rules inbox with feedback. We're hoping to get some feedback from folks on that. Like I mentioned, so tomorrow we have Denise is going to be presenting a petition that she'll preview here in just a few minutes. And I'm going to be introducing 2 public hearings on rulemaking. One of them is going to be on the emergency liquor permit rulemaking, and the other is going to be on the social equity rulemaking. Assuming that both of those hearings go well and that we are on track, that'll lead to what we do at the next board meeting, which is ideally file the CR 103, which will be the finalized rules on both of those projects. So again, that'll be emergency liquor permits, implementing legislation from last year, and then hopefully the social equity rulemaking will get finalized during the next December 18th board meeting. Also during that board meeting, I'm going to be presenting a response to a petition for rulemaking that we received regarding the use of insurance in the cannabis sector. Super interesting for people who are really interested in the intersection of insurance and cannabis, which I'm sure there are loads of those people. And then the other thing that we'll be doing during that board meeting is we will be requesting to withdraw the CR 101 on the ESOP rulemaking, the employee stock ownership plan rulemaking, and I'll explain more about that during that board meeting and why we're requesting to withdraw the CR 101 at that time. And those will be the last rulemaking actions for 2024. Happy to answer any questions if there are any.
I have no
think-
questions.
You're muted, Jim.
Sorry about that. All right, thank you. Daniel, are you going to pass it on to Denise next, or is she up next?
I can just jump into previewing the
Okay.
public hearings for tomorrow, and then Denise can preview her petition. So I'm already here, so I might as well just get to it. I'll do the social equity one first, unless you have a preference as to which one I do first.
No preference.
So social equity rulemaking, I am not going to repeat the long history of this rulemaking project because I think we're all familiar with it. 5080 passed in not last year, but the year before's legislation. We filed the initial CR 102 back in August. We had a public hearing in September. Following that public hearing, we got lots of feedback from stakeholders. We filed a supplemental CR 102 in October with some changes, and we're going to be doing the public hearing on those changes tomorrow. Justin gave a very detailed presentation during that October 23rd board meeting about what those changes were, and I'll go over those again tomorrow before the public hearing. So far, the public comments that we've received have not been as many as we had expected, but most of them have focused on the license mobility provisions, which we've heard a lot about. We got several petitions on over the summer, and just a lot of folks are still concerned about that and how exactly that'll be implemented, and how that's going to impact them and their application process.
Daniel, do people pre-register for the hearing this tomorrow? And do we have any idea of how many people have pre-registered, or do they just show up?
My understanding, and I might defer to Gretchen on this, but my
I was
understanding
gonna
is
say,
that
Jim, that comes from Gretchen, and
Okay.
she normally would send us on the annotated agenda. She
Uh-huh.
would let us know.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll just say typically on our end, we will typically get an emailed list from her before the board meeting that says, hey, this many people are signed up. And so, yeah, I think folks sign up for it. I think similar to how they sign up to give public comment.
Public
But
comment. Okay.
again, I would defer to Gretchen for those specifics.
We'll see it tomorrow. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And then so the emergency liquor permit rulemaking, again, so as a reminder, assuming, like I said, tomorrow's public hearing goes well, we'll file the final rules on December 18th, and those would be effective January 18th. And that's going to be the same timeline, ideally, for the social equity rules. House Bill 2204 created an emergency liquor permit that allows manufacturers that can't access their premises or use them for on-premises business activities to temporarily do retail activities at a retail liquor licensee location. We did stakeholder engagement on this last week of September and into October. The statute itself limits the permit to 30 days, allows it to be extended for 30 days at a time as long as the emergency continues. Still, as of the last time I checked with licensing, because we technically have this permit available per an interpretive statement or a policy statement, but we haven't gotten any applications for it yet. We filed the 101 in August, and as I said, we had stakeholder engagement in September and October. There's a PowerPoint that I created on the proposed rule language that's still on the website. We filed the CR 102 on October 23rd, and as of to date, and as of checking my email inbox right now, we have not received any comments on that rules. So unless there's a dramatic change tomorrow, I think we're likely going to be looking at filing those or requesting to file those rules as is, the proposed rules as the final rules. But again, unless we get comments tonight or folks show up to tomorrow's public hearing, it looks like that one, knock on wood or whatever material is nearest to you for good luck, that should go through.
Great.
I'm happy to answer any questions on that.
I have no questions.
Mike, my question is going back to the ESO, the withdrawal of the CR 101. When is that going to be done? And when we do that, do you get with who put the petitions in to go over that, or you just wait and do it at the board meeting?
So the petition was submitted by WACA, and WACA has already been informed that we plan to request withdrawal of the CR 101. In theory, we actually don't legally need to withdraw it. We can just keep it open. There's no legal requirement for us to withdraw it, but given where we are with it, and also given the legislative session starting next month, we think that the best thing and the best course of action would be to withdraw the CR 101 before the legislative session starts, so that we can, and in part the reason, I mean, I'll go into more detail next time, but part of it is that we have several statutory concerns that we weren't able to overcome in the rulemaking process. And so that's why we want to sort of make clear that we don't think we can make reasonable progress on it until there's some some sort of statutory instruction or direction. And that's why, especially, we wanted to get it done before the ledge session starts, rather than wait for the withdraw during ledge session.
Okay, so you did notify them though? And
yes.
they know. Okay. All right.
Yes, my understanding is that the petitioners, I think, who may be on caucus right now, but yes, my understanding is that WACA has already been informed that we plan to withdraw the CR 101, or request withdrawal of the CR 101.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to move on to Denise, Daniel. Is that right? All right, thank you. Good morning, Denise.
Good morning. Good morning, board members Volendroff and Garrett. This morning, I'm going to preview a response to a petition for rulemaking we received on October 10th from Kendra Lawson with Westcott Bay Shellfish Farm on San Juan Island, who is requesting that the board consider initiating rulemaking to reduce the required 3 days of operation for beer and wine restaurants. She is requesting this in order to accommodate seasonal fluctuations during the slower business months of October through March. The director's office will be recommending that the board accept this petition during tomorrow's board meeting. For a little background, WAC 314-02045 requires that beer and/or wine restaurants must be open to the public at least 5 hours a day, 3 days a week to obtain and maintain their license. In contrast, WAC 314-02020 allows spirits beer and wine restaurants outside of an unincorporated city or town to prorate their licensing fees based on calendar quarters they remain open for business, allowing these businesses to close during off-season quarters. LCB licensing staff have previously identified this inconsistency between these two license types and support rulemaking to address this. I will go into more detail about requirements for these two license types and how LCB had previously been able to accommodate this type of request during the board meeting tomorrow. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I see no questions. Sounds like a reasonable request, and I look forward to hearing more about it tomorrow. Thank you, Denise.
Thank you.
All right. Looking at the agenda, I think that concludes our agenda, other than any board member or executive assistants updates to add today. Gretchen, anything from you? I see nothing from board member Garrett.
Thank you, member Volendroff. I have nothing.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. That concludes this caucus meeting for December 3rd, and I'll see some of you tomorrow at the board meeting. Thank you.